So let's bring in national security analyst Dr. Rebecca Grant. Dr. Grant, I first want to play for you some of what Bill Hemmer had to say in his interview with Benjamin Netanyahu earlier this week about the issue of genocide, the charge of genocide that's often leveled against the Israelis. Listen.
We went into Gaza while we've been here this week, and we were in the southern town of Rafah, near the Sinai Desert in Egypt, and that town has been flattened. And you have been accused of genocide. How do you respond to that?
Well, I mean, if we wanted to commit genocide, we wouldn't give 2 million tons of food to the population. And also, the reason you see the flattened buildings is because Hamas booby traps every single building. So when we come in, we first have the population moved, even though Hamas tries to keep them in the combat zones.
I'm hearing you say that you deny this charge of genocide.
Totally.
That's what you're saying.
Totally.
But there are many who say that the Israelis are committing genocide. How do you see it?
This is a tragic situation, but the fault here rests 100% with Hamas, who have controlled the Gaza Strip for nearly 20 years and led it and the people who live there into the horrible situation that just is heartbreaking that we see day after day. And now it is Hamas's unwillingness to agree to any ceasefire that is leading Netanyahu to come out with, what is really his final military leverage here, which is taking over the rest of Gaza. And I tell you, someone has got to do something to get food into that area.
Well, there are even many Israelis who don't like the idea of occupying Gaza. They've done it before and eventually pulled out. Why do it now? Why go back again?
It is a terrible, terrible task. I don't think Netanyahu looks happy about doing it. We see the protests in Israel. It is very, very dangerous for the Israeli Defense Forces to do it. But we are at the point now, after nearly 2 years, where no one else but the IDF is willing to go in. They already hold about 75% of the territory. It's really Gaza City and then that area along the coast that is not held. Incredible risks there, but if Hamas will not agree to anything, and Ambassador Witkoff is still in there trying, if he won't agree to anything, what is the choice? You cannot just leave the situation as it is.
It's hard to believe that the hostages are still being held and that there doesn't seem to be, at least not as far as I can tell, a lot of pressure coming from countries other than the United States and Israel to release them.
Well, this is true, and we don't see anybody else willing to step in and deal with Gaza in any way. The UN may be scheduling a meeting, but they've been irrelevant to this conflict. They've been so sidelined, so unhelpful. And this is not a case where we see the bordering states of Egypt or others wanting to do anything. Now, we do see Jordan, UAE, Italy, Germany, Netherlands, and others airdropping in relief out of the back of their C-130s, et cetera. It's very gallant, but it's not enough. And so in the end, someone other than Hamas must control Gaza if there is to be any way forward, immediate food relief, some of that $60 million that President Trump has allocated to that, and then a security of Gaza that does not involve Hamas. It is pretty clear Hamas has got to go, and I think that is what is behind Netanyahu's decision so far.
Hamas is the elected government of the West Bank, correct?
They are the elected government in that area, and they've done a horrible job.
Yeah, and is there any other elected government in the world that's holding hostages?
Exactly. Is there any? I mean, I think they've proven they are not capable of looking after the people of Gaza. It's very clear. I also note Netanyahu makes very clear he does not want to hold that territory. Everyone would like to turn it over to somebody other than Hamas, whether that's the Palestinian Authority, another Arab set-up organization. It is just incredibly hard. But really, if Hamas is going to stay in there, block aid distribution, create trouble, and not care about their people, then yeah, somebody else has to go into Gaza to settle it down.
But so much of the leadership of Hamas has been eliminated by the Israelis. It's hard to believe that organization is still holding together.
It is, but you know, they can be resilient in small pockets. They have been decimated, and I think Netanyahu is very clear that Israel has achieved almost all of its military goal of taking out Hamas. But you know, you can't just stop there and say, well, let it simmer on for another month or 6 months or a year and not expect it to reconstitute to some point. What we know is that the future of Gaza going forward cannot include management by Hamas for the people of Gaza, for the people of Israel, frankly, for the world and the region.
Dr. Rebecca Grant, thanks for your insights.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.